My name is Maya Collins. I'm 29. I run operations for a medical logistics company in Seattle, a job where nothing moves without verification, approval, and documentation. So when my phone lit up with a $22,000 bank alert for international flights, luxury hotels, and a private Europe travel package, I didn't panic. I went completely still, because I knew. Before I even opened the app, I had not bought this. I opened my banking app twice, thinking maybe a glitch, system error. Some kind of mistake. The number stayed there. Bright, ugly, sitting under my name. Like a scar. Before I could even dial the bank, my mother called. Her voice was rushed, almost breathless. She said my younger sister needed this. That graduation had overwhelmed her. That this trip was something she needed to heal, to reset, to breathe again. And then she said the sentence that turned my stomach to ice. Don't make this about money. Family helps family. I wanted to believe her, God. I really wanted to believe her. But when someone spends $22,000 on your credit card without asking, belief starts feeling less like love and more like a trap. So, I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I didn't text back in all caps. I quietly opened my laptop, searched the charge, followed the confirmation trail, and then I saw something on my sister's wall that changed. Everything. It wasn't a medical bill. Not a crisis message. Not a receipt from some urgent clinic. Not anything that could explain why my mother had sounded like the world was ending. It was a photo. A white suitcase sitting open on a bed, filled with linen dresses, strappy sandals, designer sunglasses, and a little pink passport cover. That read, Europe Girl Summer. I stared at it for several seconds, waiting for my brain to catch up with what my eyes were seeing. Then I read the caption. 12 days until Paris. Best graduation surprise ever. Thank you, Mom. My chest tightened so fast. I actually put one hand flat on my desk. I clicked her profile. More posts, a saved story highlight labeled Europe, countdown sticker. A screenshot of a luxury hotel balcony overlooking Rome. A video of someone screaming while ripping open a printed itinerary. I didn't need anyone to explain it. The $22,000 on my card wasn't an emergency. It was a vacation, not a budget backpacking trip, not discount flights and shared hostel beds. This was business class upgrades, boutique hotels, a private food tour, a guided museum package, something called a premium, Cana, evening in Venice. My name was nowhere in the captions, but my money was underneath every single one of them. I sat there in the glow of my laptop, replaying my mother's words. Don't make this about money. That sentence sounded completely different now. It hadn't been a plea. It had been a warning. It meant she already knew I'd object. It meant she had already decided my answer didn't matter. I opened the bank app again and stared at the merchant name. Then I searched my email, because years ago, my mother had convinced me to create a shared emergency folder after my grandmother fell and needed hospital paperwork sent quickly. I'd forgotten it existed, but there it was. Buried under old insurance forms, a new confirmation email from a travel agency in Bellevue, copied to that folder either by accident or because my mother had gotten careless. It listed everything. The package, the travel dates, the hotel, names, the cancellation policy, the payment method, cardholder, Maya Collins. Traveler, not me. Billing address, mine, authorized by phone, my mother. The anger came slowly, not hot and wild, clean and sharp, the kind of anger that makes you quiet because suddenly you understand everything. I thought about all the times I had been called responsible, practical, stable, lucky. Those words had always sounded like compliments. Until, I realized my family used them as reasons to take from me. I was responsible, so I could handle it. Was practical, so I wouldn't make a scene. I was stable, so I should carry everyone else. I zoomed in on the cancellation policy. A. Portion of the deposit was non-refundable after midnight. The full payment had been pushed through my card. That afternoon, my mother hadn't panicked because of an emergency. She had panicked because the deadline was passing. And she needed my credit limit before the booking disappeared. I looked back at my sister's profile. She had posted a new story just minutes earlier. A mirror selfie. Caption: packing for my dream trip because my family always shows up for me. That was the moment something inside me went very still. I didn't send a comment. I didn't text her. I didn't call my mother back. I opened a blank document and started writing. Time of the charge, time of my mother's call. Her exact words, the Instagram posts, the confirmation email, the cancellation policy, every screenshot went into a folder. I labeled card dispute. By the time I finished, it was almost midnight. My hands were shaking. But my mind was clear. I had spent most of my life trying to keep the peace in my family. That night, I finally understood something. I should have known years ago. Peace built on my silence wasn't peace. It was permission. I called the number on the back of my card. When the representative answered, my voice sounded calmer than I felt. I explained that there was a $22,000 charge I had not authorized. That the person who placed it was a family member who'd had access to my card information from a real emergency years earlier. That I had never given permission for this purchase. She paused when I said the amount. Then she asked if I recognized the merchant. I said yes. I'm recognizing a merchant doesn't make a charge authorized. That part mattered. I told her I had screenshots. A confirmation email? And messages showing I had been told it was an emergency after the purchase was already made. She placed me on hold for 6 minutes. I sat in my condo with the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. City lights glowing outside my window. My phone buzzing silently face down. When she returned, she said they could freeze the card immediately, issue a new one, open a dispute, and mark the transaction for review. The charge was still pending. Which meant the timing mattered. She warned me that family situations could get complicated. I said, I understand. Please continue. That sentence felt like stepping across a line I had been afraid of for years. Please continue. Not, let me think. About it? Not, maybe my mother meant well. Not, what will people say? Please continue. She verified my identity. Read disclosures. Asked if I wanted to remove all saved digital wallet access. I said yes. Asked if I wanted alerts for future large transactions. I said yes. Asked if anyone else had permission to use the card. I said no. When the call ended, my card was frozen. A new one was on the way. The dispute had a case number. I wrote the case number at the top of my document. Then, I changed every password. Banking, email, cloud storage, phone carrier, shopping accounts. Anything my mother might have known from some old family favor. Each password changed felt like locking a door I had left open too long. Around 1 a.m., an email arrived from the travel agency. Payment verification required. Reservation temporarily. On hold, please contact us within 24 hours to avoid cancellation. I read it twice. Saved it with the others. That email told me the bank had already moved. It also told me my mother would find out soon. For 1 weak second, guilt pressed against my ribs. I pictured my sister crying. My mother yelling. My father saying I should have called him first, but then I looked at the confirmation. Again, $22,000. My name, my credit, my future. I thought about how hard I had worked for that credit score, the condo I bought alone, the used car I drove for 5 years so I could save, the nights I ate oatmeal for dinner after college, because I refused to ask anyone for help. And then, I thought about how icily my mother had offered all of that to someone else. Like my stability was a family coupon. She could redeem whenever she wanted. At 2 a.m., my mother texted, "Are you awake?" I didn't answer. A minute later, "We need to talk tomorrow." I didn't answer. Then my sister, random question. Did you get a fraud alert from your bank? Mom said something weird might have happened. She knew enough to ask, not enough to apologize. Put my phone face down. I was tired. But I wasn't confused anymore. For the first time in a long time. I went to sleep without planning how to make everyone else comfortable. At 8:30 the next morning, my phone started vibrating so hard against the nightstand, it sounded like an alarm. I opened my eyes and saw a wall of missed calls. My mother. My sister. My mother again. My father. My sister again. 35 missed calls. In less than 40 minutes, I played the first voicemail. My sister crying so loudly the words broke apart. Maya, what did you do? They canceled the flights. The hotel says the payment failed. Why would you do this to me? I deleted nothing. I saved the voicemail. The next one was my mother, but she wasn't crying. She was breathing hard, like she'd been running. Call the bank right now. Tell them it was a mistake. You are going to ruin everything if you do not fix this. The third was my father, confused and low. Maya, your mother says there's a problem with your card and your sister's trip. Call me. I felt strangely calm. The storm had arrived exactly where I knew it would. I brushed my teeth, made coffee. Let the phone ring 3 more times. Then I answered. My mother started before I even said hello. What did you tell the bank? I took a sip of coffee and said, Good morning to you, too, she snapped. The travel agency had put the booking on hold. My sister was hysterical. If I didn't reverse the dispute immediately, the whole package would be cancelled. I asked one question. What was the emergency? Silence 2 seconds. But it told me everything. Then she said, Don't start with that. I said, You told me it was an emergency. So tell me what the emergency was. She lowered her voice. Your sister was under a lot of emotional pressure after graduation. She needed something beautiful to look forward to. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the lie was so soft and polished it sounded rehearsed. I said, A luxury Europe trip is not an emergency, she said. You always do this. You always make your sister feel guilty for being loved. Then my sister grabbed the phone. Her voice was high and furious. I cannot believe you are jealous enough to cancel my graduation gift. I closed my eyes for 1 second. There it was. Gift? A gift paid for with my credit card. Without my permission. After my mother lied to my face, I said, It's not a gift from Mom. It's a charge in my name. My sister shouted that everyone's parents do big things for graduation, that I was ruining her one special moment. My mother jumped in. We were going to pay you back. I asked, when? Silence. With what money? My mother exploded. How dare you talk to me like that after everything I have done for you? I raised you. I fed you. I gave you a roof. I said you chose to be a parent. That doesn't give you the right to use my credit card. My father had been quiet in the background until he finally spoke. Vanessa, did you ask her before you booked? My mother told him to stay out of it. That was new. My father usually disappeared when things got uncomfortable. But $22,000 had finally pulled him into the room. My sister was sobbing again. Paris was gone. Rome was gone. The hotel balcony was gone. She talked about the trip like it had been stolen from her. Not once did she say, I'm sorry this happened to you. My mother said if I loved my family, I would call the bank and say I made a mistake. I said I didn't make a mistake. Then I said the sentence that made the whole call go silent. I saw the posts on her wall. Nobody spoke. I could hear someone breathing. My mother finally said, You were spying on her. I said she posted publicly. You lied privately. There's a difference. My sister hung up first. My mother told me I had humiliated her. I said no, Mom. I protected myself. Then I ended the call before she could answer. My hands were shaking afterward. Not from fear, from the shock of hearing myself choose my own side and not apologize for it. By noon, the family group chat had turned into a courtroom where everyone had apparently been invited except the truth. My mother wrote first. Your sister's dream graduation trip has been destroyed because Maya decided to punish the family over a misunderstanding. My sister posted a crying selfie to her story, didn't say my name, made sure everyone knew exactly who she meant. Some people can't stand seeing others happy. Family should support family. The messages started within minutes. An aunt saying I was cold. A cousin asking if I could just let it go. A relative writing, "Your mother must have had a good reason." Mothers don't just do things like that. I stared at that message longer than the others. Mothers don't just do things like that. I wondered how many terrible choices in families had been protected by sentences exactly like that. I didn't respond. Right away I ate lunch. Answered work emails. Joined a logistics call and discussed delayed medical supply routes. Like my personal life wasn't burning in another tab, that was something my family never understood about me. Calm didn't mean weak. It meant I was deciding where to aim. After work, I opened the group chat and typed one message. Since my name is being used in this situation, I'm going to share the facts once. My credit card was used for a $22,000 Europe travel package without my permission. I was told after the purchase that it was an emergency. Public posts show it was a luxury graduation trip. I have reported the charge as unauthorized and will not be reversing that report. Then I attached 3 screenshots, the bank alert, my mother's text using the word emergency, my sister's Europe countdown post, no insults, no accusations. Grace, I could do that. I die. Go quick, but itself. For almost 10 minutes no one replied. Then my aunt wrote, "Vanessa, is this true?" My mother responded with a paragraph about how I'd always been dramatic. How she planned to pay me back. How she didn't think I'd mind because I had a good job. That was the second mistake she made that day. The first was lying. The second was admitting. She had never asked because she assumed my success belonged to the family. My father called me that evening. His voice sounded older than it had that morning. He asked me to explain from the beginning. I did. He listened without interrupting, which was rare. When I finished, he said, "I didn't know it was that much." I asked, "How much did you think it was?" He said, "Nothing." I realized then that my mother hadn't just lied to me, she had also edited the story for him. Later that night, my cousin Lauren called. She didn't start with advice. She started with 3 words. "I believe you." Those 3 words nearly broke me. She told me my mother had borrowed $4,000 from her 2 years earlier for a home repair that never happened. Before that, she'd borrowed from another aunt for a medical bill that turned out to be a credit card payment. Lauren said people had whispered about it for years. But nobody wanted to confront her, because she always made it emotional. She'd cry, accuse people of judging her, say family shouldn't keep score. I sat on my couch with the phone pressed to my ear, feeling the shape of a pattern I had been trained not to see. This wasn't a desperate mother making one poor choice. This was a woman who had learned that guilt could function like a credit card, and she had been swiping it for years. The next morning, the travel agency officially canceled the package. The deposit loss, several $1,000s, hit my mother's backup payment method. I know because she called me screaming about it. She said I had cost her money. I said, "No, you cost yourself money when you used mine." That line made her so angry she hung up, but for the first time. Her anger didn't make me panic. It made me understand that my boundary had finally reached the person it was built for. The week after the cancellation was ugly. But it was also revealing. My mother tried every version of pressure she knew. She cried in voicemails. She sent long texts about sacrifice. She reminded me of school lunches she had packed when I was 8, as if a sandwich from childhood could justify a $22,000 charge in adulthood. She told relatives I had embarrassed her, told my sister I had always resented her, told my father I was trying to break the family apart. But this time the story didn't hold together. Too many people had seen the screenshots. Too many people had started comparing notes. My father, who had spent years avoiding conflict, finally opened the family bank statements. What he found changed the entire balance of that house. Store cards he didn't know about. Payments to boutiques. Deposits for events. A separate furniture account hidden in plain sight. The Europe trip wasn't just a celebration. It was part of a bigger performance. My mother wanted my sister's graduation to look perfect because perfection had always been her favorite disguise. When my father called me again, he sounded exhausted. He said he was sorry, not a polished apology. Not the kind people say to end the conversation, a real one. I should have asked more questions years ago. He'd told me he'd removed my mother's access to some joint credit lines, scheduled an appointment with a financial counselor, told her she had to sell several luxury items to cover the lost deposit and part of the hidden balances. My mother called that betrayal. I called it math. My sister didn't contact me for 9 days. During those 9 days, I kept living. That sounds small. It wasn't. I went to work. I cooked dinner. I ran along the waterfront. I met Lauren for coffee and realized how strange it felt to be around a family member who didn't demand anything from me. I started therapy through an online service because I needed someone neutral to help me understand why saying no made me feel guilty, even when I was right. My therapist said something that stayed with me. You weren't treated like the oldest daughter. You were treated like the backup plan. I thought about that for days. The backup plan. The one they called when money was short. The one expected to understand. The one told to be mature while everyone else was allowed to be fragile. On the 10th day, my sister texted, "Did you know Mom told me you offered to help pay?" I stared at those words until they blurred. Then I replied, "No, I never offered." She didn't answer for an hour. When she finally did, the message was short. I didn't know that. Over the next few days, the truth reached her in pieces. She learned that my mother hadn't asked me. That the trip cost $22,000. That our father hadn't approved the full amount. That her graduation gift had been built on a lie and wrapped in my name. Her apology came one night while I was folding laundry. "I'm sorry I was selfish. I thought you were taking something from me, but I think Mom took something from you first." Sat down on the floor with a towel in my hands and read it 3 times. I wanted to forgive her instantly, because part of me missed the idea of having a sister. But I had learned not to confuse a first apology with a finished repair. I wrote back, "Thank you for saying that. I need time." To her credit, she didn't argue. A month later, she got a part-time job at an interior design showroom in Bellevew. She complained about the schedule once, then stopped when I didn't rescue her from it. She started paying her own phone bill, sold some clothes online, even asked me how to build credit safely. I gave her general advice, not access, not money. My mother hated that. She said I had poisoned my sister against her. What really happened was simpler. For the first time, my sister had to look at the actual cost of being protected from consequences. And for the first time, my mother had to pay a bill she couldn't send to me. 3 months. After the canceled trip, I agreed to one mediated family video call. Not because everything was fine, Not to pretend we were a normal family again. I agreed because I wanted to say my piece in a room where no one could rewrite it. The mediator was a calm woman with silver glasses, who began by setting rules. No interrupting, no name-calling, no using past parenting duties as payment for adult obedience. That last rule made my mother look away. I spoke first. I said I wasn't there to debate whether my sister deserved a graduation celebration. I was there because my credit card had been used without permission. Because I had been lied to. Because when I protected myself, the family treated me like the problem. My mother started crying before I finished. In the past, those tears would have undone me. I would have softened, apologized for my tone, made the room easier for everyone. Else this time, I let her cry, and kept talking. I said, I love this family. But I will never again be the emergency fund for choices I didn't make. My father apologized again, this time in front of everyone. He said he had confused keeping peace with being passive. That his silence had helped the pattern continue. My sister apologized, too. She said she'd enjoyed being the golden child, because it felt like love. But she was starting to understand that being spoiled hadn't prepared her for real life. She looked embarrassed when she said it. But she said it. My mother was the last to speak. For a while she defended herself. She'd wanted to give her youngest something beautiful. She'd felt pressure to keep up with other parents. She'd thought I would understand because I was doing well. The mediator asked her one question. Did Maya give you permission to use her card? Mother wiped her face, whispered, no. That one word didn't erase what she had done, but it ended the argument. After that call, the boundaries became official. My mother would not have access to my financial information, my home access codes, my emergency documents, or my accounts. If she needed help, she could ask. And I could say no. My father continued financial counseling with her. Their marriage didn't magically heal. Some relatives still thought I was too harsh. But fewer said it out loud after the truth became impossible to dress up as family love. My sister kept working. She didn't become perfect, neither did I, but she started saving for her own small trip, one she could actually afford, one day. She sent me a photo of a jar with a handwritten label. Travel fund, no guilt. No request, just progress, and me. My life got quieter in a way I had never known before. I took a larger project at work. Rebuilt my emergency folder with only my name on it. Changed every account, every password, every backup contact. I started sleeping better. I stopped flinching every time my phone rang. The strangest part? I hadn't lost my family by setting boundaries. I had lost the version of my family that required me to disappear in order to belong. That was painful. But it was also freedom. The lesson I carried from all of it is simple. Family love should never require someone to sacrifice their future, their credit, or their peace of mind. Protecting your finances is not selfish. It is part of protecting your dignity. Boundaries are not walls built from hate. Sometimes they are doors with locks. Teaching people that love must come with respect. And if you are reading this while carrying guilt for saying no to someone you love, I hope you remember this. A person who truly cares about you will not need access to your money to prove that you love them. They will respect your no, your limits, your right to build a life that isn't constantly being drained by someone else's crisis. My mother wanted a beautiful story to post online. She got a different one instead. Story where the daughter she underestimated finally checked the receipts, protected her name, and chose peace over permission.